Assalamu alaikum, Hasnain. How are you?
Alaikum salam, Dr. Ali. I'm well. How are you?
Okay, so far so good.
Alhamdulillah. Glad to hear.
We were at the Qabristan.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. It was the Lebanese affair.
Oh, I see. Okay. Did Sheikh Hadi show up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Alhamdulillah.
The team lead didn't do the
Abbas Ali, just doing a mic check. Assalamu alaikum. All good on your end?
Wa alaikum assalam. Yeah. Is it good on my end too?
It is. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Adam, Azad, assalamu alaikum. Mic check. All good?
Walaikum salam.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. We'll start soon.
No, Adam, nothing.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Condolences to all of you and the Ummah on the martyrdom of Bibi Fatema Salamullahi alayhi. May Allah grant us the opportunity to perform her ziyarat, inshallah, in the near future. Our program for tonight, inshallah, will start with the recitation of the Holy Quran, recited by Adam and Azad Virji. They will recite Surah Falak, inshallah, followed by Surah Yasin by Abbas Ali Fazal. We'll move into Marshia by Jamil Jafar, Majlis, Matam by Uncle Amin Dala, and then conclude with Ziyarat recited by Fatema Fazal. We will first recite Makhsus Ziyarat of Bibi Fatema, inshallah. It's a short Ziyarat, and then we'll move into the regular Ziyarat and conclude the program, inshallah. So with that, we'll get started with Adam and Azad reciting Surah Falak with the translation. So Adam, Azad, if you're ready, go ahead. Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق من شر الغاسق إذا وقب من شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. اللهم صل على محمد. I begin in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Say, I seek refuge with the Lord of the dawn, from the mischief of created things, from the mischief of darkness as it overspreads, from the mischief of those who practice secret arts, and from the mischief of the envious one as he practices envy. O Allah, let your blessings come upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Great job, boys, mashallah. We'll now move into Surah Yasin, inshallah, recited by Abbas Ali Fazal. Abbas Ali, just give me 1 second. Let me just share my screen and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Okay, Abbas Ali, bismillah.
Okay. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yasin wal Qur'anil Hakim. Innaka laminal mursalin ala siratim mustaqim. Tanzilul Azizir Rahim. لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباءهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إن جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون والسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر خشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إن نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فزدنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي الضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآيات لهم الأرض الميتة وأحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآيات لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآيات لهم أن حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نخرجهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آيات ربهم إلا قالوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله وتموا إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في الظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن يعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فعنا يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون وما نعمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال ما يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Ahsant. Thank you, Abbas Ali. Al-Fatiha. Jamil, just give me 1 second. Let me share my screen. Bismillah, Jimmy.
أحسن. محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل Muhammad. Condolences, inshallah, to everybody on this occasion of the commemoration of the wafat of the Fatema Zahra. We'll try something different here, inshallah. I put the words and the translation of what I'm going to recite so we can all follow along, inshallah, together. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Kahan jaaye aakhir bayaban har su shikasta hai pehlu akeli hai Zahra. کہاں جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا در فاطمہ کو جلایا ہو تم نے کیا وعدہ اپنا بھلایا ہے تو نے در فاطمہ کو جلایا ہے تم نے کیا وعدہ اپنا بھلایا ہے تو نے تماچے نہ مارو مسلمانوں جاؤ علی کو بلاؤ اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا بیاں کس سے جا کر کروں درد اپنا ہے غیروں کی دنیا نہیں کوئی اپنا ارے بیاں کس سے جا کر کروں درد اپنا ہے غیروں کی دنیا نہیں کوئی اپنا کوئی جا کے بابا سے کہہ دو یہ جا کر کہ لے جاؤ آ کر اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا اے لکھتے جگر اے حسن ابن حیدر یہ نانا کے پہلو میں سونے نہ دے اگر اے لکھتے جگر اے حسن ابن حیدر یہ نانا کے پہلو میں سونے نہ دے گر تم آ جانا پہلو میں سو جانا ماں کے بقی میں یہاں پر اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے نہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا شہ کربلا نے کہا رو کے ماں سے یہ مظلوم بیٹے نے مظلوم ماں سے شہ کربلا نے کہا رو کے ماں سے یہ مظلوم بیٹے نے مظلوم ماں سے اکیلا ہوں میں بھی اکیلی ہے زینب اکیلے ہے بابا اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا سر مرگ اختر تھا زہرا کا نوحہ کب آؤ گے مہدی کب آؤ گے بیٹا سر مرگ اختر تھا زہرا کا نوحہ کب آؤ گے مہدی کب آؤ گے بیٹا خدا کے لیے اب یہ پردہ ہٹا دو چلے آؤ آؤ اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے پہ پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا محمد وآل محمد صلوات
Wow.
على محمد وآل محمد.
Ahsan. Thank you, John. I mean, just bear with me a minute while I launch the agendas.
محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر صدق الله العلي العظيم. Tonight begins a series of discussions, and at the same time begins this journey of Fatema. Tonight is a Thursday night, and as we come together on a night like this, tonight is also a night of the 12th Imam. Tonight is a night when souls come back. In the tradition it says that those who have gone before you come back to you, come to your houses and ask you that we don't have any means now of increasing our deeds. Tradition goes as far as this to say that your mother, your deceased father, grandfather will come. They'll say, do you remember the kindness that we did to you? Today our hands are tied. Please do something for us. So as this Thursday night comes, we're all gathered here. We've come to begin this journey of Fatema, a secret that's been hidden for 1400 years, but a secret today which more and more people know about. I want to begin on this point. 2004 was the year, and I still remember it was a very hot 2004, June time. Generally, as you know, our communities only do one day, or used to at least do one day for Fatema, half a day. They used to touch it and we used to go. Maybe 15 or 20 people sitting in a crowd and that was it. 2004, I still remember distinctly, it was a hot day. Must have been about 45 degrees. Qum's heat, as you know, is phenomenal heat, especially in the summer. 3 Maraja, very old men, decided to come out. One is 101 today, the other is 104, and the third had passed away. All 3 of these individuals, if you go back, were in their 80s. And as they began to walk, slowly but surely, all of Qum began to walk with them. And as they began to come closer to the Haram of Ma'asama Qum, crying and wailing, you found all of the people came out crying and wailing. Barefoot they walked, and it was so hot that even with shoes on, you were sweating. But as they came towards the Haram of Ma'asama Qum, they showed the power of Marja'iyya at that stage. Why? Because they did something that hadn't been done in 1400 years. And that was they lifted a veil of taqiyya one more time away and said, from this day onwards, we will commemorate Fatema in the way we do today. 2004 this happened. Prior to that, you didn't see these things. There was a hikmah, and that hikmah is wilayah of Marja'iyya. Marja has the ability to do these things. And there you found this tradition of mourning for 5 days, 3 days, 10 days. I remember in 2004, 2005, the first place in the world was London. They had 10 majalis just for this Fatema, that the year before there was only 1 day. So what happened? Pragmatic. There was a movement that was made, and they believed, they deemed it necessary that we continue and we commemorate this. Today, all of these years on, you find all of you today are coming for one reason, and that is because of this philosophy, to remember what Fatema is. Now look, let me say to you something. Fatema isn't something which is small. You go back and you see. And I said this to some of the brothers 2 days ago, but look, none of you are there. So I'll explain what I said. For everything outside, there's an internal manifestation. For internal, external manifestation. Allah signs as such. Internally, He shows things externally. To give you an example, in the Surah Kafi it says, there's 2 types of prophets. One outside, and there's one inside of you that teaches you what's right and wrong, gives you a compass as to which direction to go. Similarly, what you find is that in this world there are 12 Imams. Nabi Isa had 12, you could say, followers around him who were very close. In the same way, Ismail, 12 sons, 12 tribes. In the same way, you find that within Judaism, the number 12, 12 tribes come again. We have 12 Imams. Those 12 Imams are meant to be guides. In the same way that you find that there are 12 months of the year, those 12 months of the year run because of moon cycles. What does a moon reflect? The light of the sun. And 12 moons equals a year. In the same way, the reality of 12 Imams equals one haqiqah. And that haqiqah is the haqiqah of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet is the sun. And all of these moons reflect the light of the sun. From all of these 12 months, what you find is that there's one month which has been made exalted. So these 12 months are Imams for you in a way in the physical world. In the olden days, they would look at the moon to be guided. If they were going in a particular direction, they would look at the moon. We don't do this anymore, but traditionally that's what they did. From all of these 12 months, you find 1 month is the greatest of all of those months. The reason being is this, because the Quran was revealed in that month. Because the Quran was revealed in 1 month, Allah made that month exalted. And He shifted everything around. What did He say to you? He says, from all of the other 11 months you can eat, but in this month, Kutiba alaykum as-siyam. For you it's been written to fast. So what happens? This 1 month of Ramadan, you've been instructed to fast because of one reason. One Quran came down in this month. And as the Quran came down, you were given the hukum to fast. Why? One Quran was revealed on one night. And that night is Laylatul Qadr. The secret of Fatema lies in Laylatul Qadr. On the one hand, you have Laylatul Qadr. On the other hand, you have Ashura. On the one hand, you have the Jalal of Allah. On the other hand, you have the Jamal of Allah. Between these 2 days, the night and the day, the secret behind both of these realities is known as Fatema. And today, it's important for us to understand that reality. What is that reality? What is Fatema? Fatema is the secret behind Ashura. And Fatema is the secret behind Laylatul Qadr. Remember this. Remember this also. Today, some of you are planning to go on ziyarah in the next week or so. You'll be going. As you go to Najaf, you'll see people are coming, gold and silver, courtyards, Amir al-Mu'mineen. You go to Karbala, you see the shrine of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. You see the gold and the silver. You come towards Imam Hussein. As you walk through Bain al-Haramain, and as you come in, what do you see? Habib ibn Madahir, Ibrahim al-Mujab, Sayyeda al-Shahadat. But when you go there, there's a sadness that fills your heart. In the words of Ayatollah Sistani, don't look at the gold and the silver. Know that Hussein's body is broken. You go there, you kiss Tazarih. You look up and you see Qatlgah. That Qatlgah is so powerful that I remember taking a Sunni there, he was hitting his head and crying. He said, today I understand why Shias beat their chest. Because it took me all of that time just to realize, just to come to Qatlgah. But you know what? You'll go and you'll mourn there. And as you come towards Imam Hussein, you'll mourn there. And when you go to Kadhimiyya, you'll mourn there. And as you come and you move towards Samara, if you remember as I do, when the bomb took place, the blast happened, I was there to see the rubble and you were there to see the rubble, right? But look and see today. Look at the Shia, the way that they built this. And if you go from Najaf and you take a plane to Mashhad and you come to Mashhad, what do you see? You see the biggest shrine in existence. And from there you go to Umrah. And what do you see there? The grave of the Prophet of God. In all of this, you find the Imams and the Prophets have been preserved because of one lady. But today, let me ask you a question. Where's the gold and the silver for that one lady? Where's the grave of that one lady? Is there anyone today even to light a candle on the grave of that lady? That mother who saved 11 Imams. Today when you come here, know this. For every time you come here to give condolences to Zahra. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Zahra. Imam Hassan, Zahra. Imam Hussein, Zahra. Imam Zain al-Abidin, Zahra. Rasulullah, Zahra. Today, we are here to cry over Zahra. In the words of some of our greatest ulama, today know that the minute the musibah of Zahra is recited, Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam comes to that majlis. Today, you're not sitting alone. Today, know that 13 infallibles are coming here. But today, for me and you, the one thing to remember is that your Imam comes here. If 12 souls are coming here, the physical being of the Imam is coming here. Why? Because of his grandmother. Understand this philosophy. Today, when you come here, therefore, it's nothing small. Look, in all of this situation, and Allah knows if next week we're going to be coming or not, if there's going to be a lockdown or not, this is a blessing. Why is this a blessing? Because today you've been called by 13 Ma'sumin to come here. I didn't know 1 month ago I was going to be here. You didn't know you were going to be here today. We don't know in which direction this world is going. But the one thing is this, we have an opportunity today to mourn. There is a reason why Ahlul Bayt have brought us here, and that reason needs to be actualized. Allah doesn't call people here just by chance. You've been brought here by your hand to come here. Remember this, the 7 billion people in the world, Allah's name, Rahman, is for everyone. So therefore you find people who come to the grave of Imam Hussein as well. But Allah is Ar-Rahim as well. And that Rahim is only manifested for those people who are special. Today when you come here, you have an opportunity to change it, to make a difference. This is what the Rahimiyya of Allah is. But let me give you a story to emphasize this. You know, they say that Ahlul Bayt bring you here for a reason, especially within Akhir al-Zaman. This is that place where Nur manifests. To go back to what I was saying at the very beginning, understand Rasulullah is the Shams, he's the sun. In this time of confusion that you're seeing, on a daily basis, so somebody was telling me 2 days ago, how many people are leaving the deen within this town? How many people are leaving the deen? As one brother was saying to me, because there are people who come to the majlis who say, do you still believe in this? Why are you coming? Because of our wives. People coming to, in this Toronto, he added for me 50 people who have left the deen, who have come to the majalis because of their wives, he was saying. I'd like to think as an exaggeration. But this is that time that the hadith predicted that Islam was gharib and it will be gharib in Akhir al-Zaman. In times of confusion where people's iman is at stake, no amount of philosophy of theology is going to bring you back to God. There's only one reality that brings you back, and that is the nur of wilaya. This is why Allah brings you here, because He changes the heart of the people. Therefore today, focus on your heart, and you'll see your solutions are there. Istijabat of dua, Thursday night, Majlis of Zahra. There's nothing bigger than this, and I've seen miracles coming from this masjid, in this majlis. But the way you got to come is the way Ahlul Bayt want you to come. Look, let me give you a story. You understand this better. One day Nabi Musa alayhi salam was walking. He sees a man was sitting there. The man was crying and he was asking Allah for hajat. Musa takes pity on him. He says, Allah, look at the way this guy's asking. If this man came to my door, I would have given it to him. Wahi comes down. Allah has ghaira, right? Wahi comes down. He says, Musa, I would have given to him faster than you can give it to him. There's a difference here though. The difference is this. His heart's not 100% with me. If his heart was with me, I would have given it to him straight away. He says, the difference is this. He's coming to me, but his heart's not with me. Ask him, put his heart towards me and you'll see that I'll give him it. Sometimes you go to the shrine of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, right? Sometimes you'll see those people who are sitting there. They'd be sitting there for hours and days and weeks. It's not happening, you know why? Heart's not there. Heart's not there. We have an opportunity to make sure our heart is there. Look, when you come here today, this is the place where dua is accepted. But why isn't it accepted? The reason is this, heart's not there. When you put your entire wujud to something, then you'll see that is accepted. But look, these are just introductions as to the discussion that we're coming to. Remember this, there is nothing in this life which is more beneficial than the ma'arif of Ahlul Bayt, because that is what takes you to the higher realms. Therefore, I want to start off on this. Start off on this tradition. In the hadith it says, 6th Imam narrates, he says if Abu Dharr knew the maqam of Salman, he would have killed him. Which Abu Dharr? On the 9th level of Iman. Which Salman? On the 10th. Hadith is there, would have killed him. Why is that? Because Salman has secrets that nobody else knew. Salman was close to Amir al-Mu'mineen. They say that two people, according to history, that even when Amir al-Mu'mineen was away, he allowed for them to come and knock on his door. One was Salman, the other one was Jabir. The famous tradition of Jabir is in front of you. Usul-i-Kafi is the book. Look at it and see. Jabir says, he says to the 5th Imam, he says, your grandmother called me, I was sitting there, there was a green tablet which was there. That green tablet, there was nur coming out of that green tablet. He says, when I went there, when I saw that nur, on there was written the names of the Imams. What are the names of the Imams? Remember the nur. Light is what we need in our heart, especially within Akhir al-Zaman. That's why wilayah is important. That's why one needs to connect from the heart. That light is important. When you become fani within the dhat and the wujud of imamat and risalat and wilayah, then you come to understand what Salman is. Remember, Amir al-Mu'mineen came to make Salmans. In the same way, your 12 Imams here to make Salmans. You're the people that he molds. But for to be molded, it requires you to be connected. That's what the difference is. Like when people ask, what's the point of ghiba? Others had their Imams. I'll tell you the point of ghiba. Point of ghiba is this. You can move faster to the wilayah of your Imam. Why? Look at the Quran and see there were munafiqeen who were sitting around the Prophet. Even in the times of the Imams, there were people who were coming into the majalis of the Imam who were munafiq. Today in the occultation of the Imam, there's no one sitting with the Imam. But there's a possibility for your heart to go towards that Imam. Remember this. The best example I can give is Sayyeda Zainab. You know, people ask the question, right? They say, was she ma'asuma? Okay, she may not have been ma'asuma in the way that 14 ma'asums are. They were bidhat, they were ma'asum. But the best way to explain it is like this. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. What is the Shams? Wilayat al-Shamsi is Rasulullah. What is Qamar? In this tradition, Qamar is Amir al-Mu'mineen. What is the moon? The moon has no wujud of its own. At night time, it reflects 100% the light of the sun. The example of the moon is the example of Sayyeda Zainab. The example of the sun is the example of Sayyeda Shahadat. Zainab became ma'asuma because she was fani within the dhat of imamat. When she connected onto Imamat, everything that she did was what the Imam would do. This is why the Imam entrusted her with Imamat and nobody else. Entrusted to transfer back. Now understand what Zahra is. What is Zahra? The only thing that can take you to the highest level of Iman is a ma'rif of Zahra. Let me finish this tradition, then I'm going to come on to what I wanted to say. Here Salman turns around once in the tradition. Somebody comes to Salman, they say, look Salman, how did you reach the 10th level of Iman? He replied, he said, Khalwa with Rasulullah. He said, in this Khalwa, what did Rasulullah teach you? He said, Rasulullah would take me away from everyone, right? Not even Abu Dhar was there. That's what took him to the 10th level. He said he would take me. He said, when he took you, what did he say? He said he would teach me a secret that I saw myself going from one level to the second level, to the third level, to the fourth level, to the 10th level. He said, what was it? He said, he taught me the haqiq of Fatema. When he started teaching me the haqiq of Fatema, my level started to go higher and higher and higher and higher. Why? What is Fatema? Understand her, you understand why we're here, why she's the secret of Laylatul Qadr. Look, I'm going to go into another tradition to emphasize it. Today's going to be slightly more complex because I want to lay a foundation for the next 2 nights. One day, Amir al-Mu'mineen comes home and it is us, Zahra alayhi salam is sitting there. Zahra begins to tell him exactly what happened. So Amir al-Mu'mineen smiles, gets up and goes towards Rasulullah. He says, Ya Rasulullah, is she made out of the same nur as we were? Rasulullah replies, he says, Ali, she's made out of the same nur. At that moment, there's another tradition in Basair, Ad-Darajat. In that tradition, Amir al-Mu'mineen looks up and he says, Ya Rasulullah, who's greater, us or Jibreel? Us or Jibreel? At that moment, Rasulullah replies, now this is for the people. Says, Ya Ali, do you remember when Allah from our nur created the angels? Immediately the reply is there. Who's greater? Allah from our nur, when He created the angels looked towards us and they looked at our haiba and our jalal and they came towards us. And as they came towards us, we said, Allahu Akbar. The angels said, Allahu Akbar. Again, the angels come a second time. They come and they try and prostrate towards us. We say, Alhamdulillah. The angels said, Alhamdulillah. Tradition is in front of you. I've recited this before. Again, the third day they came. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And so forth. Right? It says, Ali, we taught the angels what Tawheed is. The wasila that the angels used to understand Allah is known as the Nur of Muhammad. Now you tell me, if that angel that comes from Alam al-Qurb, from all the way from Allah, comes all the way down to Rasulullah, cannot understand Tawheed in its actuality without the wasila of Muhammad and Alam Muhammad, then how does that mufti sitting in Mecca understand what Tawheed is? It's not possible. In the words of the 6th Imam, had it not been for us, people would not have understood what Tawheed is. But then he continues, he says, Nahnu Asma'ul Husna. We are the beautiful names of Allah. Why is that? A name gives a personality, a description sometimes. Imam is the living embodiment of the names of Allah. When he walks, you see the entire names are walking of Allah. If you want to see Ar-Rahman, look at the Imam. Had it not been for Rasulullah, nobody would have understood what Rahmani is in his absolute sense. Kareem, look at the Imam. Jawad, look at the Imam. You go to Amir al-Mu'mineen, what do you understand? You understand what Haiba is, Hilm is, Taqwa is. But you see the names of Allah there. Ar-Rahman is Rasulullah. Ar-Rahim is Amir al-Mu'mineen. Kareem is Zahra. All the way down to when you go to Qadimiyya, you go to Jawad al-A'imma, all the way through. Every Imam reflects something. And now taking it back again. What I wanted to say is this. Here Rasulullah says, from the nur, from our nur, from this one nur of Rasulullah has two sides to it. Batin is wilaya, outside is rasala. From that they say that this nur breaks into two. One nur is the nur of the Imam, one nur is the nur of Rasulullah. It is only from the nur of Rasulullah that the nur of Zahra is created. Right? Now go back in tradition and see. When it says in the Quran, Maraj al-Bahrayni yantaqiyan, that there are two oceans that are flowing. One ocean is the ocean of ilm, which is Amir al-Mu'mineen. The other ocean is the ocean of Rasala, which is Fatema al-Zahra. What is it? What is Zahra therefore? Zahra embodies what Rasala is. This is why Bayt al-Ahzan or Bayt al-Huzn, when you see of Zahra, what is she doing there? She's molding imamat there, basically. She's that connector, that bridge that takes the wilaya of the imama and Nabuwa and Rasal, and she brings it together. She's molding all of her generations to come, all of imamat to come. That's what the difference is. Her wujud is something very special because Rasulullah manifests himself in her. And Amir al-Mu'mineen comes forward. That wilaya in Bayt al-Huzn is Hassan and Hussein and all of the imams until the last days. What is Zahra therefore? Zahra is that woman who bears the burden of the pain of the imams, all of them, until the day of judgment. And this is why when Jibreel would come to her, she would cry. Because all of the history of all of the pain that was going to go on, all of the imams were being dictated to her. So she cried. And those tears are important. There are two things about her which is found in two Shias as well. One is huzn, and the other is buqa. Huzn is grief, and buqa is tears. And these are the secret to anyone in terms of acceptance of dua. So look, remember this. Coming back, what is Zahra? A person comes to the sixth Imam and asks the question. He says, Mawla, tell us the secrets about Laylatul Qadr. You know what he replies? He says, Al-Layl hiya ummi Fatima. The secret to this Laylatul Qadr is this, is my mother Fatima. What is Laylatul Qadr? In the words of Ayatollah Hassan Zada Amali, when it says Laylatul Qadr is better than 1,000 months, remember what we said? 12 Imams are manifest in those months. This is Zahra. Ayatollah Hassan Zada Amali says, he says, Zahra is that person who is better than 1,000 prophets. Better than, her haqiqah is better than 1,000 prophets. All of prophecy on one side, Zahra on one side. That is what she is. This is why from all of the Imams, what do you see? The entire markaz of Imamat is Zahra. She's the middle, and all of the infallibles go around like the sun and the moon. Why is that? Because she's the hujjat of Allah upon the Imams itself. Look, it's only today that we're going to have a complex discussion. From tomorrow, it's going to be lighter. But run with me on this. Stick with me because there's a place I want to take you. Come back and look at this. What is Laylatul Qadr, right? Why Layl? Look, there's two concepts we have. Yawmul Qiyamah is when all of your deeds are revealed to you. Laylatul Qadr is that thing which is hidden. Allah says, Qum al-layl, stand up at night time and worship me. Why? Night represents Tawheed. Laylatul Qadr represents Tawheed. Night itself, tonight, for example, represents Tawheed. Allah wants you to stand up and pray to Him. Why? Tawheed. Daytime is multiplicity. Nighttime is Tawheed. Your worship at nighttime is better than at daytime. In this way, when you look at it, nighttime is hidden. They're veils. Kaaba is hidden, veiled. Quran is hidden, veiled. Zahra is hidden, veiled. What is Laylatul Qadr therefore? Layl and Qadr. Layl is nighttime. Qadr is compound. Laylatul Qadr is made up of two things. Qadr comes from miqdar. Miqdar means approximation. Approximation of all of creation from the beginning to the end is found in Laylatul Qadr. Let me take it a step further. Qadr is Amir al-Mu'mineen. Layl is Zahra. Why is that? Because that night that bears the Qadr of Allah is known as Zahra. Now, let me take it a step further. Why do I say bear, right? Bearing something. Ulama call it hamlul wujud. A woman who's pregnant is known as hamila. Why? She bears a burden of life. Zahra is that hamil, that night, that bears the burden of Qadr. On that night, Ruhul Quds descends. It's different from Jibreel. Remember one thing. This final prophet has 4 arwah, 4 ruhs with him. One of them is Ruhul Quds. That transfers from Imam to Imam. But look, we don't have time to go into that discussion of what it is. We'll look at it maybe tomorrow, the haqiqah of what the ruh is. It's different from Jibreel. It's greater than Jibreel. It's the greatest creation of Allah, which comes down on that night. Zahra is that thing that upholds Qadr of Allah. In the same way, Quran says, it's the heart of the Prophet that bears the Quran. If the Quran was revealed on anything else, that would have destroyed itself. Mountains would have shaken, earth would have become water. That place that the Quran is revealed is the heart of the Prophet. In the same way, Qadr of Allah, when it comes down, that night that holds it is known as Zahra. Now take it a step further, right? Let's continue to develop this. Take it a step further. What is a haqiqah therefore? Starts off from this tradition. Ya Ahmad, lawlaka lama khalaqtul aflaq. Ahmad, had it not been for you, I would not have created this universe or the aflaq. Walawla Ali lama khalaqtuk. Had it not been for Ali, I wouldn't have created you. Walawla Fatema lama khalaqtukuma. Had it not been for Fatema, I would not have created both of you. Does that mean she's greater than Rasulullah? No. Does that mean that she was the first in creation? No. What does it mean? The secret to this lies in what Rasulullah said. He said, Fatima is what? Abiha. Secret of this hadith and the secret of Laylatul Qadr lies in this, Abiha. Who is Fatima? Fatima is the mother of her father. We say it, but what does it mean? Quickly, I'm going to go through this, because all of this discussion is not what I wanted to raise, but it's important to say it so all of you are on the same page. Is mother. Open up a dictionary and see. Is also foundation. Is also pillars. You know, when you builds a wall, that rope that they use to level the wall, that is known as Right? Is foundations. Is pillars. Is mother. Mother is the foundations. Therefore, let me ask you a question. What does Abiha mean? To understand this, you've got to understand the hadith, which is found by Majlisi. When Majlisi says from the Nur of Rasulullah, the Arsh of Allah was created. That Arsh of Allah has pillars. Those pillars are known as Had it not been for Fatima's Nur that created those pillars, the entire Arsh of Allah would have collapsed. This is why she's known as Abiha. She upholds the Arsh of Allah and Alam-e-Kawn itself, her Nur does. This is why when you take it a step further, what do you find? Not only is she Abiha, but the haqiqah of Fatima is Laylatul Qadr. Hujjat of Allah is the Imam. And from the very beginning of time, this world has always had a Hujjah. What is Hujjah? Look, the Quran says sometimes we do deeds and those deeds float. They don't go directly to Allah. The purpose of a Hujjah is like a medium that grabs it and takes it up. Right? We're sinful people. We're sinners. Sometimes because of our, and you recited this today in Dua Kumail, there's certain things that block dua from going up. Therefore, hujjah is required. In your time of need, he takes it up. That is a hujjah. Hujjah is the soul of the universe. Nothing moves without the hujjah. Why? Because this entire world requires a soul. And today the soul is the 12th Imam. But if you look at a hujjah, what does the 6th Imam say? He says the hujjah for us is our mother Fatima. Therefore her medium is something. In the same way that the hujjah is a medium between Khaliq and Makhluk, her medium is that between the Imam and Allah. Understand what a status is. When you begin to understand the status, you begin to understand the dhulm which was done upon her. You know, honestly, sometimes you think, look at what she is, and look at what was done upon her. Shall I give you a tradition? You know, sometimes you think on this, just think about this. They say Zahra for 90 days was unable to hug her own children. Sometimes there's a reason why when you read it, what does she say? When she comes to the grave of the Prophet, she says, Father, my children have become like orphans, even though their father was alive. When a mother is unable to hug her children, and a father is being dragged around on the road, what happens to these children? This is why when we discuss her, understand what she is, understand the pain and the brokenness of this lady. That today, even when you go to Najaf, you still feel a loneliness which comes from the grave of the Imam. What is it about Zahra that even today there's a loneliness? Look, I'm going to give a final tradition that I'm going to conclude. Final tradition is this, and we'll go into detail tomorrow. Final tradition is this. In this time, in this day, when people's faith is being tested, there's a secret that's been given to us. And that secret is so powerful. Ulama have said, Urafa have said, if this secret is with you, with your families, you'll find that guidance and mercy comes. And that secret is Hadith Qissa. We take it lightly, but according to some of the greatest scholars, if ever you have a problem and you make the intention of dedicating it to Zahra, the 12th Imam, it's enough to alleviate your problems, but more so, in the words of Ja'far Mushtahidi, when he used to go into a house, he would say, this house is dark. So what do you mean this house is dark? God, this house is dark. Says, why? He says, there's no nur coming in this house. What should we do? Recite Hadith Qissa. You know, people have problems in their house. Some people, there's no barakah coming into their house. Ahlul Bayt have given a solution. Recite Hadith Qissa. You'll see because of this, if a person recites it, even on a weekly basis, you see nur comes in. That is the nur that we're looking for on a night which is dark. Look, on a night like this, today when we're surrounded by uncertainty of what's going to happen tomorrow, the day after, you as the followers of Fatema alayhi salam have come and gathered. For 1 second though, I want you to imagine, on a night like this, close your eyes and see. Imagine if you were standing in Baqi on a night like this. You know, go yourself in your heart Tonight is a big night, because tonight you're going to give condolences of Zahra to her children. Magnitude of tonight is not something which is small. Let me start off from this tradition. Honestly, sometimes you think to yourself, how much pain did Ahlul Bayt go through? Tradition says that there are 3 people from Ahlul Bayt who cried while giving ghusl and kafan. Cried. Look, tonight you have no one to stop you from crying. You know why we switch off the lights for? So that no one feels embarrassed to cry. Today your Gharib Imam comes. If we just follow the 8th Imam's tradition, the 12th Imam is surely going to be following that. He comes barefooted today. And as he comes, you say he has tears in his eyes. This person who's lost his mother comes down and he says, look, when somebody dies from your family, you just want somebody to hug you at least, or give condolences. Today, you look at your 12th Imam and you see, not even one person there to give condolences. 3 people, they say, who cried a lot when they were giving ghusl and kafan. Who the first person is? Tradition says first person is the 5th Imam. You know why the 5th Imam? He says when he was giving ghusl to his father, he said when he turned him over, he said the Imam began to scream. You know why he was screaming? There were still marks on his back and there were still marks on his neck. When he looked at his arms, you could find the flesh on his arms were gone still. He began to scream. He says, Father, after 40 years, you were still in this much pain? You know who the second person is? The next time you're ever at Sayyeda Ruqayya, look, I've just mentioned her name. I haven't said anything more. Look, you can even hear the tears of mothers. You know why? Because they have children, that's why. Mothers, may Allah never show you a moment like a rabab. So when you recite the Ziyarat Nama and say that, okay, just look at the back. I'm going to give you the hadith which is at the back so you understand. They say the women, when they were given ghusl and kafan, 3 times came running out. They came to Imam Sajjad. You know, the first time they came out, small girl was there, women came running out. Imam Sajjad says, what happened? You know what they replied? They said, there's fungus growing on this girl's body. Imam replied, he says, that's not fungus. Shimmer, when he would hit, her skin went green and blue and again they go inside, again they come running out. Second time they come running out. They said, Mawla says, why have you come running out? He says, but Mawla, every time we try and remove her shirt, her skin starts coming. Third time they go, third time they come running out. They say, Mawla, what happened to this girl? He says, why? He says, every time we try and pour water over her hair starts shredding. Mawla replies, he says, because Shimmer would grab her by the hair and imagine what was going on the heart of Rabab at that stage. This is why sometimes I think when Yazid said to them, go, what does Sayyida Zainab say? She says, Sajjad, one person is missing. Who is it? Rabab. As Sayyida Zainab goes back into the prison, what does she see? She sees a mother holding tight to a grave. That mother was saying, daughter, you wanted to go home. Now it's time. You know the third person is? Third person is that person who, honestly, you know what Fidda says? She says, I never saw the line of God fall at Khaybar, or Khandak, or Badr, or any of the battles. She says, I felt sorry for Ali one night. That night he was screaming. I asked him, said, Mawla, what's the problem? He came crying out, he says, Zahra hid it from me. Said, what does Zahra hide from you? He replied something. He says that her rib was broken. Why? Zahra was holding, tradition says Zahra was holding a hand on her rib. What does Imam say? He says, Zahra, you know water has to get everywhere. I want to ask you a question. Can you see a broken rib through the skin? What happened to Zahra that he could see it? This Amir al-Mu'mineen began to cry. Look, let me just say one more thing. You know why? Because the color of her rib had changed. Can I give you a tradition? You'll see. Salman, on the third day, comes to the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen. As he walks in, tradition says Hassan was very small. He was sitting there on the floor. He was holding his knees and he was shaking. The description in the hadith is, you know, when you see a chick, a small chick, if God forbid anybody hits that chick, have you seen a shake? The chick begins to shake. It says Imam Hassan was shaking, his body was moving. Says, son, why is your body moving like this for shaking? He just says one thing, my mother. Says, son, what happened to your mother? He was shaking, he couldn't say anything. Many years later, when Fidda asked Imam Hassan, says, son, why do you cry so much for? You know what the reply was? He says, Fidda, I cry more than Hussein because I was outside, Hussein was inside. Says, when you were outside, what did you see? He says, my mother's feet were dragging on the floor. Ayman was holding one arm. You were holding the other arm. My mother's feet were dragging. I was watching. What did I see? A man was walking behind her. Zahra was dragging. A man was walking. Imam Hassan was running to protect his mother. Tradition says this man was a tall man. He grabbed Zahra from the shoulder. As he grabbed her, he chucked her to the ground. Tradition says 2 hands slapped her on the face. As he slapped her, earring fell. Imam Hassan comes forward, says, don't hit my mother, hit me. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the sake of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, may Allah accept your tears. May Allah accept your hajat. May Allah accept your condolences. May Allah never show any yatim. How ghareeb is Ahlul Bayt. Sakina saw her father. Hassan saw his mother. Zainab saw her father. Allah never give you any pain other than the pain of Ahlul Bayt. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. Madri Hussain.
Uncle Amin, Bismillah. Go ahead, Uncle Amin. Bismillah, Uncle Amin. Bismillah, Uncle Amin, go ahead. Uncle Amin, go ahead. We cannot hear you. Sorry, everyone. I think Uncle Amin has a volume issue. Just bear with us for a second. Tell him to unmute himself.
Ya Hussein, Ya
Yeah.
Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. उड़ाओ खाक आज़ादारो के ज़हरा दफना होती है उड़ाओ खाक आज़ादारो के ज़हरा दफना होती है सरे उरियान न हो यारो के ज़हरा दफना होती है कहा है दर कराने कोई है जाके जाकर हो सुना दो ये मोहम्मद हो के ज़हरा दफना होती है उड़ाओ खाक आज़ादारो के ज़हरा दफना होती है कुले सर पीटते हसनैन है ज़ैनब ए परी गश में है आती हुर्रे बीरो रो के ज़हरा दफना होती है उड़ाओ खाक आज़ादारो के ज़हरा दफ़न होती है उड़ाओ खाक आज़ादारों के ज़हरा दफ़न होती है चलो शाले अज़ा ओढ़े खुले सर आज मदीने में दो मुट्ठी खाक अज़ादारों के ज़हरा दफ़न होती है उड़ाओ खाक आज़ादारों के ज़हरा दफ़न होती है चले हैं अंबिया सारे मलक की फौज पर फौजे है जाते सब मदीने में के ज़हरा दफ़न होती है उड़ाओ खाक आज़ादारों के ज़हरा दफ़न होती है सरे उरियान हो यारो के ज़हरा दफ़न होती है रहमतुल्लाह मना अल-फातिहा
Thank you. Surah Fatiha is requested for Marhum Hussein M.D. Karmali, who passed away in Dar es Salaam on January 2nd. Also, let us remember those who passed away in 1964 in Zanzibar, where we had the killings at our center there. And of course, and that was on the night of the Shahadat of Bibi Fatema as well. But also let us remember one of our very own Uncle Khalil Dewji, his grandfather Haji Asar, who was unfortunately part of that massacre. Let's also recite a Surah Fatiha for Marhum Asghar Muhammad Haji. And also let's recite a Surah Fatiha for Marhum Yusuf Asad Fayyad, who a young boy who passed away on December 31st. He's the son of Al-Hajj Asad Fayyad and Abir Fayyad. He was buried today. So we offer our condolences to his family, to his parents, and inshallah, may Allah grant them peace through this unfortunate time. So let's recite a Surah Fatiha for all these marhumeens of Fatiha. Let's also recite 5 times Dua Shifa for those that are sick in our community, in our families, and around the world. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibul mustarra iza da'ahu wa yakshifu su. 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 Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We'll now conclude with Ziyarat, inshallah. As I mentioned at the very beginning of the program, we'll have Fatema Fazal recite the Ziyarat, but first she will recite Makhsus Ziyarat of Bibi Fatema. Inshallah, it's a short Ziyarat, and then inshallah we will conclude with the regular Ziyarat. So Fatema, if you're ready, Bismillah.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Our sincere condolences to the Imam of our time, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Sharif, and to the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam. On the Shahadat of the beloved daughter of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sayyeda Fatema al-Zahra, Sayyidat an-Nisa al-Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alayki ya Sayyidat an-Nisa al-Alamin. Assalamu alayki ya walidata al-Hujjaji al-Nasi ajmain. Assalamu alayki ayyatuha al-Mazluma al-Mamnu'atu haqqaha. Allahumma salli ala ammatika وابنة نبيك وزوجة وسي نبيك صلاة تزلفها فوق زلفى عبادك المكرمين من أهل السماوات وأهل الأرض ورحمة الله وبركاته. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Peace be upon you, O leading light of the women of the world. Peace be upon you, O mother of the arguments on all people. Peace be upon you, O one who was wronged and whose rights were usurped. O Allah, send your blessings to your lady servant, the daughter of your Prophet, the wife of the successor of your Prophet. Such remarkable blessings that approach her nearer to you than those of your most honored servants among the inhabitants of the heavens and the earth. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati حلت بفنائك عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بكيت وبكي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي ابن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم يا أبو الفضل العباس. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا قريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا سلطان أبو الحسن يا علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك يا فاطمة معصومة ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وأينا حتى تسكنه أرزك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وسلم فرجه.
Ahsan, thank you, Fatima. Great job, mashallah. That concludes our program for tonight. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.